Hi, I'm Jonathan Wendt, and I'm here to talk more in depth about the dormakaba RCI YD30 and YG80 series. Throughout this video, I'm going to cover where this should be installed as well as how to actually do the installation. We'll go over the different applications as well as what really sets this lock apart from any other lock in the marketplace. This is our YD30 series. We have the YD30S, which is for single acting or 90-degree doors, and the YD30D, which is designed for double acting or 180 swing through doors. Both of these locks were designed to really solve the issues that are inherent with most other locks in the industry. One of the biggest ones that pops up is door misalignment. These are the only locks in the industry that can realign a misaligned door. It'll grab it, pull it into alignment, and seal and secure that door. Now, from the 90-degree door, we pull it up into a sill, and then we have the 180. So the YD30 double will swing and pull it into from up to 11/16 of an inch in either direction. So once we start to correct for that door misalignment, what inherently happens is you start to create preload or side load. So in designing this lock, we wanted to make sure it would be able to do everything. So we can open under 1,350 pounds of side load or preload. And so this lock will never bind or cause you to be stuck in any sort of situation. The reason that we can pull a door into alignment and open under that significant side load is the design of this lock is a cam action bolt, and that cam action bolt reaches out, grabs the door, pulls it into alignment, and secures it, but it also allows the door under significant pressure to fall away, not from a center point, but from a pivot point on the edge. As well with the double, this will do that in either direction. It'll reach out, depending on which way that door is coming into alignment, fire the correct bolt, and then fire the secondary to secure it. And as you can see here, the double is essentially a single with one transverse on top of it. And depending on which way that door comes shut, it'll fire the correct bolt. Now, from a safety perspective, not only knowing that you can get out of any door with that 1,350 pounds of side load being able to open, we also have put a piece of software on here that checks the health of this lock every day. It'll draw down that capacitor, make sure everything's working correctly, and if there's any issues, it'll fail itself and then let you know on your access control system. So the other big thing that when it comes to locking, security is obviously top of mind as well. With 2,250 pounds of holding force, they're some of the strongest locks on the market. And they also have 1 million cycles. So the combination of strength and reliability is a key for your customers. All of our locks come with fail-safe, fail-secure, field selectable. Typically in most scenarios, they tend to be in the fail-safe orientation. But the fact that you can choose, you're only stocking one unit. Along with that, we have all on-board monitors. So all of our locks come with door position and bolt position sensors. As you can see, when that door comes shut, it tells you the door is there, and now it tells you it's completely locked. Why that's important is if somebody were to put some material or something to block that from actually firing, it will try 3 times and let the access control system know. So very secure, you can be assured that your door is locked and shut. We also, from an energy perspective, extremely low voltage. Both locks sit at 400 milliamps. So when you start to compare this to a lot of the locks in the marketplace, especially Meg locks, it's an extreme power savings. This also helps you in the fact that from a backup perspective, we're looking at about 1 amp hour per day on a backup. So extremely efficient and very easy to back up if you are utilizing this in a fail-safe or fail-secure connectivity. Both locks are tested for 1 million cycles, which puts it in the tier 1 lock category. They are universal connectivity, 7-wire Molex, and this means it's just agnostic to any access control. You can connect it just like any other strike or mag lock, and when it comes to the mag lock, it's connected with a very similar type of certification, as far as recs and exit positions. As far as where do you use this, and we'll cover this more in the videos coming up, but this is perfect for glass, metal, and wood doors. And when you're utilizing our accessories, you can do any combination of mortise, like you see here in the demo units, or side mount, like you'll see in the videos coming up. Whether you're side mounting to glass, metal, or wood, you can use any combination of side mount or mortise to make this the perfect lock to secure any location. So this video here is specifically focused on the YD30D, the double swing through. And you can see as that door goes over the face of that strike, it's going to fire the first bolt first as it's coming in to secure that door, and then the secondary bolt fires to secure it fully. Also with this, and we'll go touch on this a little bit more, because of the nature, and you can see the pivot on that bolt, this is what allows us to open under 1,350 pounds of pressure. The more pressure you put on this, the easier it opens. It's never gonna bind, whether you're using it with a door opener, closer, operator, or just simply pushing force on it. Now, when we talk about applications, glass installation is one of the ones that's really not had a very good solution, especially when you start to talk about double swing or 180 swing through glass doors. In this example here, this is a glass door that had a mag lock put on it, which essentially turned it into a backstop. So you turned a 180 swing through door into a 90-degree door. And you can see the mag lock on the left side. He's doing an installation. We're mortise mounting that YD30 directly into the header. And as you can see, he's just cutting that, utilizing the same wire, well, up and running in minutes. And that first image you can see from an accessory, we're just attaching directly to the glass. And with that glass mounted 3M tape, we're getting over 1,000 pounds of holding force. And it's up and running. You have about 15 minutes to reposition it, and it completely cures over 12 hours. Now you can see in this installation here, he's utilizing he cut in the lock body and is drilling the lock directly into the header. You can utilize tabs to make that a smoother finish, and we'll show you that here. So now here you can see the door opens. It's the same Rex position as the mag lock that was currently there, but now that door swings in both directions as it should, and it will align that door, grab it, and make sure it's gonna be perfectly aligned every time. So here's some more examples of glass, and as we mentioned, glass is one of the areas that there's not been a great solution. And if we start on the left side, the first image is just an image of a art institute that wanted to have something that was architectural. It looks very clean and matches the hinge. We're running the wire into the wall. The lock is positioned on top. The strike is positioned on the bottom, directly to the glass door. And that wire is ran into the wall and back to the access control system. The next image, I really like to talk about this one just because I think it's a very nice installation. Originally, they had mag locks on there, again, effectively turning their 180-degree doors into 90-degree doors. And this was a golf course that wanted to have the flexibility to use the doors as they were meant to use and open them in both directions. And you can see here, they've added the YD30Ds up on the top on the glass transit. So now, from a glass to glass perspective, there's no other lock in the industry that can secure a glass door in both directions, give you full security. But I do like this because it shows a nice installation of where they ran the wire transit across the top into the seam of the glass and up. So very clean installation. The next image is what we would kind of consider, it was a WeWork style office or common office. And again, they had glass to glass. Originally, they looked at putting it in the ceiling. But as you can see, as you take a little closer look, that's a drop-down ceiling where there wasn't enough strength to mount the lock up into there. So they mounted it vertically on the stationary glass panel on the right side, and just gives you another idea of how the flexibility of installation and the way they're utilized. And now this gives this company in particular the ability to secure those doors so that they're available for the meetings when they're scheduled, schedule them online, and have complete electronic access control of that glass door. The last image I really like because it touches on a number of areas that we really excel in. So this originally was a bank vestibule, and they had mag locks on there. And one of the inherent issues when it comes to a mag lock is if you take a clear sticker, put it over that mag lock, it reduces that holding force over 80%. And so they had security guards that had to peel those off or keep an eye out for them so people couldn't get into that vestibule after hours or on top of that ATM extremely quickly. The other thing we're seeing from a mag lock perspective is people using filed down metal that matches, and it's very difficult for the security guards to see, and so they have to actually clean those mag locks on a consistent basis, if not nightly. And now once they switch over to the YD30, they now have the capability of having true door position and bolt position sensors. And so that door is completely sealed. There's no way to defeat that. And now they have true security. And with the mounting tape utilized on there, it'll delaminate that door before they'll let loose. So we now have a secure solution that not only looks architecturally sound, but is extremely functional in the glass market. Next up, one of the more common installs and use cases we see are aluminum or metal frame glass doors. This here is a pretty common one, and we see this across the board, whether it's businesses, whether it's college campuses, very common installation. And you can see the gentleman, he put what we have is a transparent template. You essentially stick where you're gonna put the lock in, cut directly through it. So it makes it very simple, very little measuring. We're really installing that lock. And as you can see in this application, again, he's not utilizing tabs. And a lot of times people tend to not use the tabs to make up a little bit more of that gap space between the header and the top of the door. Here they ran the wire through the header, and a lot of times we utilize the header just because it's easy to run wire, but of course in the same scenario you can run that lock down to the middle of the door for the strongest holding force you're going to get from the lock. As we mentioned, this is a hollow aluminum door. In this instance, we just dropped a wood block in there. There's different things we can use some of our mounting cases, but typically a wood block is a nice application because it's cheap and easy to do. Again, we're overlaying that template over the top of that block, simply drilling the holes for the 2 screws of the strike. And next, we're just drilling out enough of a hole for our bolt to be able to come through there without anything interfering. Here he's laying over the strike, and as you can kind of see there, you can see the offset magnets, and those offset magnets are what tells that lock when that door is in position to start to fire that bolt. And here you can see this door would normally bounce back out. The lock caught it, pulled it back into alignment. And along with that, we'll touch on how we can also seal that door completely, because we can both pull into alignment and we can also release under side load. So having an additional weather seal there is a great application. Here's another application, and this just touches on a few different things. Again, this one was at a higher end apartment building, I believe in New York City. And originally they had us put these on their interior doors because they were rattling under air pressure, and they wanted to be able to seal them and pull them into that seal to keep that noise down. Once they started utilizing there, they wanted to have something on their front door that wasn't a mag lock. So you can see here a nice clean installation. That one is utilizing tabs, so a perfect clean installation. You don't see any of the lock. It very much fits into the architectural nature of this building. As we come around the other side of the door, you will see, obviously we're gonna have the access control and the reader access control, but on the inside, we're gonna have the rec switches for whether it's IR, you can do the button in or waveguide, however you want to utilize that from a rec position. And again, in this instance, we actually went back and did a bronzed version. It's something we can always do if there's a big application or you have a customer that's pretty picky. There's things we can do to help you out there. Here's one I like to talk about, and this is kind of your typical Herculite door. And this is just a different angle, a recent customer installation, and it gives you a very good angle and a good shot of how, when that door shuts, kind of the gap in there, and you can see where that lock grabs and centers it and steadies that door. It's just one of those applications we probably get asked about on a daily basis, and it's a very easy installation, especially when you're putting in a header. You're simply opening the door, putting it in the header, and dropping that strike over the top of the door. Here's additional options as far as the metal framed and glass. And so if you see on the far left, one of the things, and we've probably seen a little bit less of this, but this was utilizing what they call shear locks. So shear locks are essentially a mixture of drop bolt and mag lock, where that pulls down into there and they have to be aligned perfectly. They cause a lot of headaches, especially with the flex that metal doors give in the temperatures. Whether it's cold or hot, they get unaligned, and they have a tolerance of about under a millimeter. So you can see here where they made their own essentially what it would be a template or a plate to put our lock in there. And so that just gives you an example of how somebody did that. If you have a large building or a large project, please come to us. We can help you with those things. But a lot of times it's just getting the metal cut in the correct way. And if we just send you a CAD drawing or something to help you, always willing to do that. The next image I really like because it touches on so many other points that we work with on a daily basis. This is a door operator, and this is a 15-foot tall metal and glass door that was on a bay. And so with that operator, they would pull that door closed, but when they got high winds and rain, they were still getting some of that water to leak through. Now with the YD30 series, because of the low voltage, we can connect directly into the power source of that operator. And then now you can set that operator a millimeter or so short and let the lock do the work to pull that shut at a more advantageous angle closer to the sill of the door. Along with that, you can see that they added weather stripping. And with that weather stripping and our ability to both pull the door into alignment and open under that side load, we're now able to completely seal that door and keep any of the rainwater or moisture out. Also, and you'll see this across the board with operators, is they're starting to add that functionality of having to pull the door in before they open to allow to take that pressure off. This is something you'll never need with this, the YD30, as using it as your lock. The next image over, again, just another option or another way it's been installed. They're pulling those into a backstop. Not super high security, but it is a nice clean installation, and it works extremely well for this, where it's not obtrusive, you're not seeing a mag lock hang down, very architectural sound. Same with the final one on the right side. Again, another application mounted into the headers, this one utilizing tabs, perfectly flush installation. Next, we're gonna jump to wood doors. And the wood doors are really handled essentially the same as all the other doors. But as in with the metal frame and wood door, we can also have an accessory to side mount these or mortise mount them or any combination of the two. So here's, again, an installation of the wood door, putting that template over. And from a wood door perspective, or even this from a wood frame, probably your most difficult installation because you're having to cut into the wood a little bit more, slightly more work, and then getting that routed out to a flush application so it sits in there from a very pleasing architectural look. And we see this on wood doors a lot, and in this instance, this is a historic door, and a lot of these wood doors, you can't change any of the handles, they can't see the lock, but they're old and they don't quite line up correctly, and they also tend to hold more moisture, so the different seasons, they tend to not close perfectly. And all of us have been there where you walk out of your door and you kind of don't quite hear it lock or click. This solves that problem. We know that that's completely locked, and then we have the feedback from the door position and bolt position to the access control to show that. Now from an installation, and this goes across all, whether it's wood doors or whatever type of door you're working with, once you install the lock, we're just matching the top of each of, whether it's the strike and the lock, just so they're lined up. Again, utilizing that see-through template, put directly on the door, cutting directly through that. This one, they didn't countersink into the door, and again, this is sometimes utilized this way to try to close that gap a little bit more, and the closer you are, we like to be a 1/4 inch or less, gives you more of that pull-in force and pull-in distance. And when it comes to doors, whether it's wood, metal frame, and a lot of times why they're put into the header is we can actually gain more distance the farther back we put that in the header. And there you can see as that door shut, completely sucks that door closed, and then we're using an access control system to enter and exit that door. So here's some additional examples of wood doors that we've used. The one on the left is a hotel where during the day they hold the doors open, and at night they release those and then it goes back and they lock. Well, originally they had solenoid drop bolts into those doors, and because of the pressure of holding them open, they tend to not release. And solenoid locks are that's a common issue with them, and one of the reasons we designed the YD30. So they moved to a YD30 here, holding the door open, so when they hit the button, it always closes. And then in the middle of that sill, you can see 2 additional YD30s that then align that door and secure it for your access control. The next one over is another door, whether it's a heritage door, whether it's a historic door, they couldn't change any of the door handles on there. And so we're just showing you how we can put a nice clean installation in there without effectively changing any of the look or functionality of that original door. Next, we have what's a little data center, a little storage room. Their intention there was to get as much holding force as possible. Looks weren't the first priority on their list, and you can see they're utilizing 2 of our accessory mounts. On the right side, they actually added additional plate there to add even more strength to bridge that to the second stud. But they mounted that mid door to give the most strength and utilize that as a secure locking solution. And then the final image on the right is exactly what we covered in that video, but it just, again, gives you that clean look. It's not obtrusive. It's not taken away from that look of that door or the historic nature of that building. So one of the things, and I talked about a little bit, is we do have some ability to do a little bit of customization, and we do run into a lot of unique solutions. This one is our newest one, where we designed a shortened or small plate, and this is a spacer that goes directly onto the glass door. This, and then on the right side you can see the lock, so we can take a sliding glass door and pull that shut and secure it. There's no other lock in the industry can do that. Everybody else tends to have a straight down hook, but to get them to line up is very difficult on sliding doors. This is a bit of a game changer in the sliding door industry. And as we go to the next video, here's another version of that. Sliding wood doors and pocket doors. And as you can see, as that strike or that door goes by, we're pulling that right into a seal and completely securing that door. So we do have a lot of flexibility, and if you run into something, whether it's a door manufacturer, whether it's a customer that has unique needs, please come to us. We are very good at engineering different options, different solutions. We're always looking to see how we can expand our footprint, especially when it comes to these locking solutions. Now, from an egress perspective, again, we're agnostic when it comes to hooking up to any access control, as we are with any of the egress. This lock is 10C fire rated. So what that means is from a 10C fire door, this would be your secondary lock, and you would have it fail safe. And then you would use your standard crash bar as your positive latching for your manual override. But from a egress perspective, any IR, wave, we have any sort of push buttons, it's really all as you would hook up any other strike, or specifically from a compliance perspective, very, very similar to a mag lock. This slide just touches on all the different dimensions of the lock and really walks you through from a specification perspective. We do have a website where you can go to and actually download the CAD drawings, all the information. So if you do have a customer that needs a more detailed version of this, all that's from step files to CAD files are available. And we have that for both locks, the YD30D and the YD30S. Here we have the YG80B and the YG80. So the YG80 is our industrial lock that we designed to have unmatched holding strength. It comes in two versions, the YG80 and the YG80B, which is the Bluetooth version that has its own access control built in and can be utilized connected directly to your access control system or a standalone unit with its own access control. Now we designed the YG80 to have unmatched holding strength. It will hold over 8,000 pounds of holding force. It was designed to be used in all types of industrial applications where typically you're utilizing, whether it's a padlock or other types of high-strength mag locks. This really replaces that and allows you to control it from your access control position. As with all of our locks, the YG80 has built-in monitors. So we have bolt position and door position. And that's important, so especially in an industrial application, if that door's not lined up correctly, it'll attempt to relock 3 times, and if for some reason it just still isn't lined up, it'll error back to the access control system and let you know that that door's not secure. This lock also is available in fail-safe and fail-secure, and that's field selectable. And as you can see, we have some dip switches. This really controls all the different applications of this lock, from turning the heater on, from fail-safe to fail-secure, to also setting this to access in and out or auto lock and auto relock. All that's available right with your dip switch. Now, as I mentioned the heater. This is the only lock in the industry with a built-in heater. If you put this outside on a gate, this lock will maintain 45 to 50 degrees. And it has a temperature sensor in, so once the surrounding temperature does go above that, it'll turn the heater off to reduce the use of energy. If you are utilizing the heater, you need to be running it at 24 volt. If you're not using the heater, it's a 12 volt application. As I mentioned from the connectivity, it is agnostic and can connect to any access control system, really the same as you would any other strike. It connects, and with the Bluetooth, it does that application as well, and then you can utilize the Bluetooth as a guest key, for instance. Each lock comes with 25 keys that you own for a lifetime. So you can give them out for an hour, a day, a week, and you can revoke them at any point. So you can control those keys. There'll never be an additional fee to that. As with all of our locks, power consumption is very important to us. So this is very low consumption. When it's running in the 12 volt application, we're sitting at about 30 to 40 milliamps, so very efficient. 24 volts, that's a little bit higher as you can imagine. Other than that, as far as rating, IP67 rating, and that goes along with the built-in heater. This is a completely weatherproof lock. The IP67 reading allows you to mount this outside on a gate. It's the corrosion, the water, you're never gonna have an issue with that. And also, if you're looking to mount this outside, or even if it's on the inside, we do have a tamper switch just under the cover. Little difficult to see, but that tamper switch, if somebody starts pulling that cover off or trying to remove that lock, that's gonna alarm as well. So it gives you that extra level of security. So now you have an industrial lock that you're not relying on security or somebody to remember to put on a manual padlock or some version of that. So here's a video of different applications. So this is an installation, and why we designed this, one of the main reasons this was designed is to solve the issue we have with roll-up doors being manually locked where somebody can forget to lock it. And we really see it a lot from the shrinkage or from where things go missing tends to be at the roll-up door or some other industrial entrance where people aren't typically in and out on a regular basis. You can see in this video, he's mounting the strike directly to the door. There was a plate hardware. We don't offer the plate hardware just because every application tends to be a little bit different, but it's really just a matter of what matches up. And you can see now we're just matching that lock up to the strike. marking the 3 points where we're going to bolt that down to the, in this case, the cement. And the real key here is making sure that you're putting enough strength, mounting it in an area that'll give you that extra strength. One of the reasons we did design this is we had issues, or a customer of ours had issues, where people with pallet forks or lift trucks would slide them under the door, lift them up, and get in. And the standard padlock isn't capable of holding that force, where this, with its 8,000 plus holding force, is more than capable. And with a more secure application, a lot of times we'll see them utilizing one on each side of the door to give it that extreme strength. So now you can see here he's securing the lock to the pavement. One thing that you'll have to change, depending on how you put that strike in, there is on top here a door position switch. That magnet needs to be to the top of that door position switch, depending on how you mount that strike. So there's a plastic insert that comes out. You just manually put that magnet so it's matching up to the top. The key there is the lock needs to see that door come down, and so that it knows when to throw that bolt. And as you can see here, a very clean installation. You can't see that the lock is utilized from the outside, but we know that we have a secure facility, and that's a big point of this lock, is nobody knows where it is or where to attack it, which adds to that strength. Here's a perfect application for the YG80. And in this one, you can see it's a little bit different mounting position than the first video you've seen. So this can be farther up the wall. It's wherever it works best for your customer's application. Now, this is an interesting one where they had been giving out metal keys or standard keys with padlocks. The truck drivers tended to lose them. They had to rekey, and it cost a significant amount per month. So now we move to a access control override. As you can see, the door went up. In this instance, they set this lock or their access control system to make sure that that closes within an hour. Those are the type of things that we can do with this lock, especially with the door position and bolt position monitors. We can set timers within the access control, but we're giving that data and feedback via the lock. In this scenario, another interesting thing is originally it was set to auto relock as that door came back down. We eventually changed that and had it to be essentially a button in, a button out, or what we call key in, key out version. And the reason for that is when we start to combine that with what we can do in the truck, which we'll show you in the next video, we can now have a chain of custody of who opened this door, who closed this door, who opened the roll-up door in this truck. As you can see in this video here, this one is mounted up in the corner. And so now this takes it out of the hands. We know exactly when this door was open, when the roll-up door to the warehouse was open, and vice versa on when they were closed. So that gives us a complete chain of custody. Also along with this, and this is an interesting one here, this video, from the flexibility, we're starting to see this with a number of carriers where they load in, and it can be Bluetooth or whether it's a reader inside the cab of the truck. They can now control when that door opens and closes. So for instance, if you pull up to a stop, open the door, take a package out and close the door, it'll auto lock. It doesn't allow somebody else to come in and roll that door up and maybe take packages that weren't meant for them.